This film is about a wonderful beekeeping program at Washington Correction Center for Women in Western Washington. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the program is also temporarily located with the beehives belonging to Sandy Fanara. The beekeeping program is a partnership between incarcerated beekeepers and staff at Washington Correction Center for Women, WCCW, Sound Beekeepers Association, WSBA, the Sustainability in Prisons Project, SPP, at the Evergreen State College, and Washington State Beekeepers Association, WASPA. This program has so much amazing teamwork by both the humans and the bees involved. This is a picture from one of the WCCW hives taken by Sandy Fanara. WCCW's beekeeping program was born late in 2019. Again, can't say it enough, this program is a partnership. The program belongs to and depends on everyone in the partnership. Everyone has something to give, and everyone benefits from it. Some of the non-incarcerated superstars of this program are Sandy Fanara. She's the program's beekeeping expert and the president of the Sound Beekeepers Association. Carrie Hesh is the program lead at the prison, so she's the SPP beekeeping liaison and she's the WCCW recreation specialist. Shohei Morita is the SPP beekeeping programs coordinator, so he's coordinating programs statewide, and he's supporting this program by bringing education materials, certificates, and helping to celebrate and recognize what's going on. Incarcerated beekeepers are the program's students and apprentice beekeepers. Their interest and enthusiasm are the very best part. The program's first class of beginner beekeepers graduated early in 2020. Then, as spring approached, the partners gathered together to clean out the hives, making WCCW ready to receive the new bees, which would come in April. WCCW had kept bees in the past, and partners needed to remove old honeycomb and cobwebs. This is a picture of Carrie Hesh holding one of those old pieces of honeycomb. This turned out to be the last time all the partners were together for a long time. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, visitors could no longer come to the prison. Until it was safe to come back to WCCW, Sandy agreed to take care of the program's bees on her own property. To stay connected to in-prison partners, Sandy shared lots of photos. This is a picture of the Queen of Diamonds and part of her hive. You will meet her again later. Shohei sent education packets every month. Late in the summer of 2020, Sandy and Shohei teamed up to make a program video to show back to the in-prison partners. They got help from Mariah Albin, a DOC program specialist, and a friend named Morgan. This is the video that they made.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shohei, and I am the Beekeeping Programs Coordinator for the Sustainability in Prisons Project. Today, I'm going to go see Sandy and the bees that she's been taking care of for the last couple of months. And I'm really excited to be able to take you on this virtual tour with me. And so just to give you some background information, Sandy is a master beekeeper and also our beekeeping expert for WCCW. Now, WCCW purchased these bees back in April, but because of COVID, we weren't able to bring them into the facility, and Sandy has kindly offered to look after them for the time being. With that, I think we're ready to go. I'm really excited and can't wait to see the bees. Hello, everyone. I'm here at Sandy's property. With me, I have Sandy.
Hello.
Miss Albin and Morgan. And yeah, we're about to open up the bees and see how they're doing. It's really exciting.
Trying to get this smoker started and it's fighting me, but that's par for the course. We throw some of this dry grass in to catch it?
Maybe. He'll either catch it or snuff it.
It's so light.
Now we got some flames started finally. You can see that. The trick is to do it and not burn your mask, because the mask on the suits here are vinyl, kind of like window screen. Yeah. So today we're going to be looking at the 3 hives from WCCW. They're right over there. It's been kind of a tough year for bees this year. It's been very dry. Well, let's start earlier on. From April through, mid-July, it was quite cool for a summer. On top of that, we didn't have a lot of rain, at least in my area. So what that meant was that the bees couldn't get out and had little forage to bring back to the hive. Now remember, they need nectar from the flowers. That's the liquid in the flowers to produce both wax, give them energy to do anything, and then eventually turn that nectar into honey. But most importantly, they need to build that wax. They build the wax, and both the honey and the babies, the brood, are put into that wax. So if there's no or little nectar, or if the weather is not good enough for the bees to be able to fly to get the nectar, then it's a big problem. What that meant was that I had to feed the bees, starting from the day that we packaged them. I had to feed them syrup, a 1-to-1. That means 1 part sugar to 1 part water, so that they could at least have the energy to produce wax. And I fed them continuously until this past weekend, really, because we've never had a substantial enough nectar at any given time that the bees could do it naturally. There are some parts of Kitsap County where they had let's say a whole lot more blackberries than I have in my neighborhood, and so the bees were able to do it with the blackberry nectar, but they had to wait until July for that nectar to show up, and very little else happened before that. After the blackberry nectar time, there's not a whole lot of any one big plant or a lot of any small plant that produces nectar. So again, we're feeding them. And now that we're into August, we have a bit of a time crunch on our hands, that it's really important to beef up these girls, get them as much food in there as possible. And that is that in mid to the 3rd week of September, all around the Sound, generally the rains start. Well, we have to get the girls full of their winter food before that rain starts, because they will absolutely not have any they won't have any availability to get nectar once the rain starts. They can't fly in the rain, for instance, and the temperatures will be dropping. So the time crunch is between now, which is the 1st week or so of August, and the middle of September. We gotta get enough food into these girls that they have a second full box of 10 frames or 8 frames if you have a smaller hive, 8 to 10 frames full of food stored. Generally we would say honey, but this year what it's going to be is it's going to be 2-to-1 syrup, which is 2 parts sugar to 1 part water. It's a much more condensed form of sugar, obviously, and it's more like honey to the bees. So these girls, unfortunately, aren't going to be wintering over with honey for the most part. They have a little bit in each hive from naturally occurring from nectar, but mostly what these girls are going to have is the 2-to-1 syrup. We're going to be feeding them today. The other thing I'm going to be doing today is a continuation of my mite control program that I've been doing on these girls all summer long, which is every month they've been treated for Varroa mites. This is oxalic acid and it's in a suspension of glycerin. Glycerin instead of water, because the glycerin is a little bit stickier, and so it's a dribble method, so we'll be dribbling it in there, not vaporizing. Oxalic acid is also used in a vaporizing situation, but they both equally work quite well. Oxalic acid is naturally occurring. It's in lots of different plants, like rhubarb and other plants. Well, but the bees can't get enough from those plants, and they don't know to get enough to take care of the mites. But oxalic acid has been shown to work very effectively on mite control. They've been receiving this treatment once a month, and from this period on, because I don't want mites getting into the winter bees, the queen will be starting to lay the winter bees very soon. Since I don't want those winter bees to get mites at all, because there's a very limited supply of them, they're meant to live longer, she lays fewer of them, I'm going to be paying very close attention to mite counts, checking for mites within the hive, doing an alcohol shake of 100 bees to see if there's any mites, which it's kind of rough to lose 100 bees, but it's really important to stay on top of the mite problem. So I'm going to be doing the oxalic acid treatment today, just like I've been doing it every month, and I'll show you how that's done, and I'll also show you how we kind of just look around for mites in the hive without doing an alcohol check this time. So we're going to feed them, and we're going to treat them for mites, and we're just going to take an overall look at them. The other thing I want to bring to your attention, this magazine here, Bee Culture, but all of the, gosh, it's been on CNN and all over television about the murder hornet, right? The murder hornets. Well, they're a real deal. Unfortunately, just last week, one of these Asian hornets was caught in a hornet trap specifically designed and baited for it, and it wasn't a queen. What does that mean to us? It means that a queen made it through last winter somewhere up in the Bellingham, Washington area. It lived over the winter, and then it produced a colony this spring. It laid eggs, produced a colony this spring, and one of its babies grew up and became a forager, and that's what got caught in that trap. This hornet from Asia predates specifically on honeybees. And in Asia, the Asian honeybee, Apis cerana, which is a little bit different, a little bit beefier of a bee than our Apis mellifera, which is our western honeybee. They evolved with these hornets, so they have ways to deal with them. Our little honeybees, Apis mellifera, does not know how to deal with this hornet here. And so if a hornet finds a honeybee colony here, and this has already happened up and around Bellingham, they will wipe it out, often in a matter of hours. This is a very big creature and very, very aggressive. Now, there's been, they talk about it being a murder hornet, because when it stings, you can see by the person's glove how big this hornet is. It's quite a bit bigger than even our biggest yellow jacket queens here, which can seem quite big. It's quite a bit bigger, twice as big as that. If they sting a human being, absolutely it hurts, and some people are allergic and could die. If more than one of these stings a human being, it's obviously much more dangerous than even a pile of yellow jackets or honeybees. But murder is kind of, that's the media getting your attention. They're no more aggressive than any regular hornet. They really don't pay attention to people. They are looking for honeybees. And so that's our biggest fear, is should they actually continue to grow here in Washington State, they will have an abundance of honeybee food that has no natural defenses against them. So lots of people are doing their very best. So far they're just up near the Bellingham area, but let's keep our fingers crossed that they hunt those colonies down and eradicate them. Alrighty, let's get started. So I put the oxalic acid treatment, the mite treatment, between every frame. You can see little dribbles here and there. Maybe you can also notice that the bees don't look bothered by it at all. They really just don't seem to be bothered. It will stick to them and it will then get spread throughout the hive, which is exactly what we want it to do. I'll probably be checking back on these bees and doing a alcohol treatment, alcohol check for mites in about 10 days, because a little bit more. Because I want to get real serious about making sure that I don't have mites in there. So I don't want to squish many bees, because that releases a pheromone that says they're under attack. I'm going to feed these bees. I need one of the buckets of food. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put the inner cover back on. I'm putting this little stopper right here in the upper entrance because I don't want yellow jackets and stuff coming in here. So this bucket has a little mesh on top, and the 2-to-1 syrup is in here. When I turn it upside down, it's really going to dump for a few seconds. So I have an empty bucket to dump it into. And then as soon as it slows down to a dribble, I'll place it over the hole in the inner cover. There's 5 pounds of sugar in here. And by volume, half of the water. Not by weight, but by volume, half of the water. Takes a minute for, or a second, a few seconds for that vacuum to create and stop dribbling, or stop pouring and just become a dribble. Now see that little dribble? Mm-hmm. They'll like that. That's dribbling food right on them. So I put that there with that hole directly over that hole. They come up to the mesh and they take that food. Then we put a empty deep box over that, like so, and then we paste, make sure there's no bees inside, because they wouldn't be able to get out, and we put the lid back on. There we go. Queen of Hearts is done for a week or so. I would expect that food to last at least a week. But like I said, I'm going to be checking these girls really carefully with an alcohol wash in about 10 days. So I'll check back on that food supply in about 10 days also when I'm doing that alcohol and the mite check. What do I expect to see at that point? Remember all those empty frames in that third high box? I would hope to see more wax drawn, quite a bit more wax drawn, and I want to see that they're taking that food and stored it into the wax they built. Whew, nice. So here's what we want to see in a box. We want to see the 10 frames across with bees in every gully. I'm going to look for a little brood to check for mites. Deep frame of brood. That's all worker bee brood. Not going to ruin any of that. Same with this side. All worker bee brood. Capped. Gorgeous. A little bit of honey up in the corners. A little bit of pollen just under the honey. That's an absolute perfection of a brood frame, just how in nature they build their comb, their brood comb. Beautiful. Lots of bees over it taking care of their little sisters. I can look down in here and the next frame looks the same. And this frame looks the same. I don't see any drone brood. It bumps out quite a bit further, so typically I can see it. At this point, I don't want to disturb these girls. I don't want to wreck their brood chamber, really their nursery. I don't want to wreck it. So I'm not going to tear this all apart just because I want to see how many mites they have. I'll check them in 10 days, just like I will the Queen of Hearts. And I'll do a alcohol wash and get an idea of what their actual mite load is. But I am going to treat them now. There's the queen right there. This is the Queen of Diamonds, our superstar mommy. She's going around. So here she is here. She's looking for places to lay her eggs, so I'm going to let her do that. Here she's going to crawl amongst her helpers. See how long her abdomen is? It's long enough that she can insert it into a deep cell and place that egg in the very, very back. All right, I'm going to put her down in. I don't want to accidentally hurt her. Happy to see her looking so plump and vigorous, moving around. She looks good.
I just got back from Sandy's place. I ran out of storage space on my phone towards the end there, but I did manage to film almost everything that we wanted to show you, so I hope you enjoyed it. I know that seeing the bees on video is not the same as being able to work with them in person, but I hope you found it somewhat valuable. We'll be sure to send more updates as well as other educational contents. And we'd also love to hear from you, so feel free to write to us directly or through your program liaison with any feedback or ideas for more content. And I really appreciate your commitment and everything you do for the bees, and I hope to be able to visit you at your facility and see you in person when it's safe to do so. Okay, until next time, bye.